What up, everyone? This is totally just a test. I have no idea how to stream, but I figured it's a good day to try. We have Bitcoin at a new all-time high, and last I checked, ETH was kind of going for it. So let's pull up everything and take a look. I'll kind of go over some of the charts that I check on a daily basis and see what we're looking at. I'll start by saying what all YouTubers say. This is not financial advice. Alright, so let's have a look. I'm going to go over kind of my master Bitcoin chart here. Look at it from a weekly or even a monthly time frame. I'll kind of zoom out here. Alright. I set this chart up a long time ago and have just been rocking it and seeing where we end up. I have some of the halvings laid out in the chart. I also have the highs and the lows of the market cycles. Obviously, we're kind of tracking for a very similar 4-year pattern as we've always been looking at. Back here in April 2023, I made my predictions, which was kind of this squiggly yellow line to where the top would be. And if you zoom out, you kind of see how it's traveling on a logarithmic curve here. I kind of use this curve to kind of plan out where our next top would be and when, and kind of the next market lows and market highs of the next cycle. So as you could see, we've kind of been following this trend here, and I'd like to say I'm not too far off, so kind of pretty proud of that. So let's zoom in. Let's take a look at kind of a weekly and then a daily time frame on the Bitcoin chart. I like to trade a lot of supply and demand zones and trend lines. I keep it really simple. Like I said, there's a lot of people that are far better off at this than I am. But all right, let's take a look at what's going on today. Looks like we broke through this supply line here at about 119.8. We bounced off of it a couple times and finally broke through. Had a wick down and we pumped up, and it looks like we just broke through. We didn't close on the daily yet. That's going to be coming up in about 35 minutes, but right now we're sitting above this old all-time high. If I zoom more into a 4-hour chart, I could show you where I pull these supply and demand zones. I'll kind of look at it at a closer time frame. I'll find the wick high and the candle body close. And that's where we see a lot of movement. And if we scan over to where we are at today, it looks like we have about a half an hour left to this 4-hour close, which is really exciting. And hopefully we could stay above this line of supply. I'm assuming if we stay above this line of supply, we might get a couple wick down tests into this zone before kind of moving up into the next price point. So hopefully we could hold it. So that's one piece of the puzzle right there. Let me open up another chart here. Let's take a look at what ETH is doing. I also want to cover the ETH to BTC valuation. I would like to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, USDT dominance, and kind of how I look at all these things together to try to find where we're going next. All right. take a look at ETH on the Coinbase, and kind of take a look at the same thing here. I'm going to zoom out to the weekly. You know, obviously we are like in a really important zone. We haven't been up to these price points since November 2021. So obviously ETH is lagging Bitcoin, and you'll see that in the ETH the Bitcoin valuation, which I'll show you next. But you know, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. We might get rejected, come back and retouch this demand zone between, you know, what is this, 40.90 and maybe about 39.32. But right now, you know, what we're all hoping is we blow through this you know, this old all-time high here and come back down to retest. So we'll see what happens there. You know, if I kind of zoom out to the monthly chart, I'll kind of show you, you know, how I've planned out this chart as well. Same thing, kind of on a logarithmic increase. You know, I have some lows, highs of markets planned out here. I don't have the Bitcoin halvings in here, but I'm kind of keeping track of everything on a similar timeline. And, you know, this is in a logarithmic chart, you know, this is extremely inaccurate, but I do think with how the curve of this chart is going that we do have enough range. You know, hopefully we break out, retest, and we could come up into, you know, this range right here, you know, something, you know, in this zone. You know, hopefully it's north of $7,000. But if we're playing it safe, we're going to recheck everything. We're going to take a look at RSIs as we get closer into what we're thinking is a bull market top and go from there. This is my first video, and if it works, give me some likes and some subscribes, and we'll keep it going. I'll get better as we go at streaming, so we're all going to learn this together right now. All right, let's take a look at another chart here. I'm going to pull up the ETH to BTC. I definitely made a lot of mistakes in my crypto career. You know, moving things around, selling things at the wrong time, but I think I'm getting better as time goes on here. But let's take a look at this zoomed out ETH to BTC chart here. You know, this is you know, as we learn more and more over the years, this turned out to be more of an oscillator, meaning that, you know, you're going to trend from range highs to range lows and retest these same lines of support and demand. Unfortunately, I did make a mistake moving over some Bitcoin into Ethereum too early. But, you know, we ended up coming right back down into this zone, this lower zone here before we retraced. You'll hear some other YouTubers calling it, you know, ETH going home. But yeah, nothing happened really with ETH until we moved out of that, got back into this zone here. And you could see, you know, within a couple of weeks after reaching that, we moved up and consolidated and moved up. And now, you know, we were at, 1 ETH was about 1.8% of a Bitcoin, and now we're up to nearly 1 ETH is about 4% of a Bitcoin. And if we're using this like an oscillator, you know, I'm going to be looking for resistance in the you know, in ETH to Bitcoin across this trend line here, and then looking to most likely get out of, you know, Ethereum and other altcoin once we reach kind of this zone in here as a safe bet. Once we get back up to these top zones, if we ever do, you know, this is going to be a signal that it's time to transfer things back into Bitcoin. And that is around the, let's say, the 8% mark, or maybe even a little bit lower. We could call it in this zone, maybe the 7.6% mark. That's when you have just too high of a risk to be into ETH and Bitcoin, right? Um, get out from it. Remember your portfolio. You should always be looking at in its value in satoshis, and all we're trying to do is grow our positions. So, but quick move here. We're already up 100% on the evaluation compared to Bitcoin. And we're going to be looking to move up even higher. I think the total move will be into the 200% range. So yeah, let's take a look at another screen here. Next time I'll probably have all these pulled up, but I'm going to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance. Obviously, this is a huge chart. This is the same rotation of charts I take a look at every day. One of the charts alone doesn't give you the full story here, right? But if we take a look at everything, it should all start making sense. Our Bitcoin dominance. So this is Bitcoin market cap compared to the market cap of all the other cryptocurrencies. Has been grinding up for a long period of time, which is great if you were just a Bitcoin holder. But really, really depressing when Bitcoin is only one part of your portfolio here. Obviously there's some outliers, but if you would have held on to Bitcoin up until January 2025, that would have been your best bet for a portfolio. This is kind of acting like an oscillator as well too, so kind of range highs, range lows, and we don't know where these things ultimately top out or retrace, but I'll put in some zones here and take a look at some really important levels. I think an important level to take a look at is this 52 to 53% range. I think that there's a good chance that we could fall, down to these levels pretty fast, meaning that our ETH is pumping and the rest of our cryptos, which I think everyone is excited about now. Really, the break in this trend line has been the biggest story to me in the last couple, I guess this last week here. Technically, we have not closed a weekly candle below this. We did have a fake out in December 2024, but we've been moving up the channel. We had a fake out at the end of last year, and then we're moving into a breakdown and a close outside of this range finally for the first time since was this 2023. So meaning all the momentum is going to shift really, really fast and hopefully have a explosive move down. But what's likely is we're going to see maybe a breakdown and then maybe a retest of this, holding it as resistance at this point. So you might see another Bitcoin pump, which could be happening right now, considering Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high today of just over 123. It's like 123,476 is the current price, but hopefully then we'll have a fast move down, and hopefully down further. And once again, I'm going to be taking a look at these ranges. I'm going to be taking a look at timing of the 4-year cycle, and usually we kind of peak out in markets in Q4, but kind of the timing of things is making me think that it might be early next year that we might start seeing tops of markets. But we have to keep a look at this price range on a daily basis. We have to take a look at RSIs on a daily basis, especially weekly and monthly RSIs. Get really bearish when we start seeing things that are overbought on the the RSI. So usually peaks of the markets coincide with bearish divergence, especially on your weeklies and even monthlies. So, all right, let's take a look at another chart here too, which I like to take a look at, kind of Bitcoin, Ethereum, the Ethereum to Bitcoin valuation, Bitcoin dominance, and the last one I like to take a look at, just so I could get a grip on where we are at in the market cycle, is USDT. So this is going to be your, USTD. There we go. That's going to be your tether dominance, so basically your stablecoin dominance. As prices move up, people are pouring more of their stable coins into the market. So what we're going to see is a drop in the dominance of USDT. So we're going to be seeing a drop. And then, when people are selling off their Bitcoin and altcoins, Ethereum, and that they're going to be moving it back in. So what we're expecting to see, which we had kind of planned out for a while, we have, kind of two trend lines here. We have where there's demand and where we have supply. And we kind of see this consolidation pattern happening here. And then this was our last kind of lower high, and then we're clearly moving down to the bottom of this channel. What's going to happen? I don't know. That's really the answer to everything when you're taking a look at charts. I'm not the best at technical analysis, but I need to be able to cross-reference this chart with the other ones and the timing of the entire market to figure out where we are. So, I definitely think that we're going to be looking to hit this lower trend line, trying to figure out when this will happen, and if the lower hitting of this trend line kind of coincides with possible bearish divergence in the charts for ETH and BTC. So over time, USDT dominance has gained over time, and now we're seeing a falling off. So a rally back into cryptocurrencies from stablecoins. We're definitely going to see this move here, and then what I think is, if we see this hit of this trend line or even a lower possible, maybe we come down all the way, here, something. I think what we're going to ultimately see is a break back up of this, and then possibly a move through this to where we see another pump, and this would be our next bear market. So our bear market is going to track where we're going to move up possibly to the higher range of stablecoin dominance, as people are running for the hills and losing their asses, and trying to jump and get out of cryptocurrencies. We're going to be moving back up through the range. So goal is to, when everyone else is buying, when the stablecoin dominance is at its lowest, that's when we want to be selling, folks. And the opposite is true as well, right? If we move our stable coins back up into Bitcoin and Ethereum, when our dominance is extremely high, you're basically, you're buying low and selling high, right? And if you look at the charts, while we're riding in this range up here in 2022, 2023, that's going to coincide with our bear market for Bitcoin. Let's reset this here. So let's take a look. 2022, 2023. So in this range here, is where we would have wanted to be buying. Once again, that's going to coincide with when you're at the range highs of stablecoin dominance, right? So let's take a look at all these together, right? We want to see right now, we're telling the story. We're seeing our USDT dominance drop. We're seeing our Bitcoin dominance drop as we move into altcoins, signaling our alt season and our shift away from Bitcoin dominance, which also is our signal that we are approaching the final stages of the bull market. Then we'll take another look. I should probably pay for this. Maybe if I start making some money on YouTube. Then we see our Ethereum. We're moving up, an explosive move on Ethereum back up to its old all-time highs, as our ETH to Bitcoin valuation shows us, a gaining of ETH compared to Bitcoin. Hopefully we could get a clean break out of this range back to Bitcoin to USD chart, which is looking awesome. Of course, we just have an all-time high, but the recent couple of weeks, the story has told us that Ethereum is the big winner for the last couple of weeks. But obviously, things don't just go up or go down. So I think that ETH and Bitcoin are going to take turns being the star of the show here. And then really, really good stuff today. I think I'm kind of cheating by picking one of the most exciting days in the cycle to do it first stream, but here we go. We have another 15 minutes until the daily close on Bitcoin, and hopefully we could hold this range of the 123.240. And if we hold that out, that is our clean break. So, guys, let me know how I did on my first stream here. And now I'm going to figure out how to upload this, and we'll keep checking on this, hopefully every day. Let's get some likes and follows. Thanks, guys.